I'm going to link a video in the description. There's a YouTuber by the name of Undertaker Freak 1127. You may have heard of him, and he did a pretty good video on this topic. I'll link it down below. And it's from 2013, so it's been a few years, but it's a pretty good video on the topic, so I encourage everyone who watches this video to go and watch that. But I want to talk about something that's kind of been, I don't know, just that's irritated me for a little while. I've never really spoken about it on here, but and especially as of late, because I've got a friend who makes posts about this all the time, and it really just bugs me. It gets on my nerves after a while. And that's this business of people just completely making generalizations about cops and saying that all cops are crooked and all cops are pieces of shit, all cops are pigs, all cops are assholes. You know, they'll see like something that happened on the news or something just happened in public, or maybe even their own personal experience. Which, I mean, if this particular thing happened to you with cops, and I apologize, but, you know, they'll see something like that, or they'll experience something like that, and because of that, they'll adopt this mentality that, oh, all cops are crooked and assholes and everything, they're all abusers, they're all pieces of shit, and they deserve to all be thrown in jail and whatnot, and, that just, see, that right there really annoys me, and just for the fact, because it's a generalization, you know, because it, you know, you could do that with any group of people. I'm talking about cops in this instance, but I mean, you could make generalizations about anybody, and it would irritate me just the same. Like Christians, for example. Okay, just because you encounter a few Christians that are just kind of just really like wacky and crazy and are all like, you know, bigoted, like, you know, against gay people and whatnot, all that kind of stuff. Just because you encounter a few Christians like that doesn't mean that all Christians are like that. It doesn't mean that all Christians are just complete bigoted people, you know, because there are a lot of Christians out there that are good people and that, you know, that are just, you know, good people. They don't judge people, and they're good people in general. You know, but I want to use an example. So I think probably in everyone's life, everyone will probably encounter like an asshole of some sort, you know, whether it's in the street, if you bump into someone in the street, or if you're going to an event, or if it's at work, especially, like if you're working at like a cash register or something like that, and you're dealing with a customer that just is like really rude, you know, no manners, you know, they're just really rude and everything like that, you know, just, you might ask them how they're doing or how their day was, and they just completely ignore you, and they just like don't say anything at all or something. You get what I mean. Like my dad, for example, my dad works at a dealership, a race Gilman dealership, and like he'll have customers come in, and he'll, you know, my dad will always be like, oh, you know, how are you doing today? You know, he'll give them a greeting, and some of them won't even like answer. They'll just be like, oil change, like just oil change, and they'll be completely rude about it. But my dad will just go on with the job and everything. I think you guys get what I mean. But yeah, the point is that you'll encounter a lot, you know, maybe a lot of assholes in your life. But does that mean that every human being on the earth is an asshole? Does that make every human being on earth just a rude, pretentious, just douchebag? No. You know, not just because, you know, one person or a few people that you've encountered are an asshole to you doesn't mean that every human being on earth is an asshole. You know, because while the world definitely has their fair share of assholes and just bad people in general, you also have a lot of people that are good and kind and considerate and generous and everything else. You know, and it's the same thing goes with the cops. You know, I mean, look. Are there corruptions in the law enforcement system? You know, are there corruptions and things like that? Absolutely, and those need to be dealt with. Okay, are there, you know, errors in the system like that? There's errors, and they do need to be addressed and justified and corrected. And, you know, are there cops out there that are just manipulate their power and are pieces of shit, and they will just beat the shit out of people, and they will take advantage of their power? Absolutely, okay, absolutely, and every cop who does that deserves to be punished and sent to prison or jail. Definitely deserve the consequences. But again, just because you see a cop on the news, or you know, experience one out in public, it doesn't mean, again, that every cop is like that, you know, because, you know, I have a lot of respect for cops, because their job is not easy, you know. I mean, they're going out, they're putting their lives on the line to protect the public in most cases, you know. Again, of course, you know, there are cops that abuse their power and aren't really protecting the public at all, but I venture to say that a majority of them are, and I respect them for that. And you know, like I said, I mean, of course there are cops out there that do abuse the power and they deserve to be punished, but it's not like that with every one of them. And again, it's like, just like the example I used, you could apply this to anyone. With generalizations in general, I mean, generalizations about any group of people, it's not productive, it's certainly not progressive or anything like that. It's nothing. It serves no purpose. It's like if you make a generalization about Christians, or if you make a generalization about Muslims, or if you make a generalization about, like with politics right now. I mean, if you make a generalization about every Democrat or every Republican or every independent, if you try to categorize them into a certain stereotype or whatever, it's just not good. It just only perpetuates stuff. So yeah, and it's the same way with with cops. So yeah, and I could use other examples, but I'm probably just going to end up repeating myself. But yeah, and the friend that I'm talking about on Facebook that posts a lot of this stuff, because it's a lot of anti-cop stuff, if you didn't guess. I remember I click on some of them just to see what the comments are. And some of these things that he posts, like, I don't always believe all of them, because it's the internet, and you sometimes have to keep in mind that you can't always believe everything you read on the internet, of course, obviously, but I read the comments, and there are even some people that say there are no such thing as good cops, and that, like, the good cops, or good cops, because I use quotation marks, I'll say good cops are just the ones that stand there and do nothing. And again, maybe those people saw something like that on the news, or maybe they experienced that. It's very likely that they may have had an experience like that, where a cop is just abusing their power and either taking it out on that person that's saying that, or like a person they were with or something. And there are other cops that are just standing there and doing absolutely nothing. And yes, that is wrong, okay? Every cop in that scenario, whether they did something or didn't do something, and one of them was abusing their power, every one of them deserves to be punished. Kicked off the police force, thrown in jail or prison, they deserve to be punished, I agree. But again, that doesn't apply to every single cop. It doesn't apply to every single situation, And plus, the point that Undertaker Freak 1127 brings up in his video, what happens when you come home and you find your stuff gone, and there might still be people there, I know there are some people that, that have guns in their house, and they may be very self-efficient, and that's all good and well, but not everyone is going to be so self-efficient. Maybe they don't have guns in their house, maybe they don't know how to use the gun, maybe they don't have quick access to weapons, they could grab a knife, but I mean, if there's, multiple people there, and you're the only one there, there's a very good chance you could get overpowered. So what is the first thing you're going to think to do, other than to get somewhere where you can be safe? Probably to call 911, so the cops can come out and hopefully catch the asshole and arrest him. I mean, so in that situation, even for someone who claims to hate all cops, I mean, most likely the whole I hate all cops scenario is going to fly from your head, and you're going to be like, oh shit, what do I do? I got to get this, I got to, do something. And I would say 90% of the time, 911 is the first thing, or one of the first things that pops into the head. So yeah, but that's, yeah. So I guess that's about it for this one. I just wanted to make a video on this topic because it really irritates me. I mean, generalizations in general. I've made generalizations too. I'm not going to sit here and say I have never made generalizations. Like, I really try my best not to make generalizations about groups of people. I really do, and and everyone else should too, but I really do my best not to make generalizations. I'm guilty of it. I've done it every once in a while, but I try my best not to, because like I said, it doesn't do anything for anyone. It only creates more problems, and it's not productive for anyone. So yeah, that's about it for this one. And again, I want to repeat, I want to make it very clear. There are cops out there that do abuse their power, that do step over the line, that do just, they use too much force, or they'll use their guns unnecessarily, or they'll just beat the shit out of people. And is that wrong? Absolutely. And every cop who does that deserves to be punished and thrown in prison or jail. But again, like I've said repeatedly in this video, that doesn't apply to every single cop that you encounter. You know, it's just, I would like to think that that's common sense, but I don't know. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. You know, maybe you've had a situation in which you've encountered a corrupt cop. And if that's so, I apologize for that happening. I mean, that really does suck. It really does. I mean, I can't deny that, you know, and that I can see where a situation like that would have, like, an effect, and it would cause you to be fearful of other cops. I can definitely understand that, but, I just, I don't know, I just think that, I don't know, you know how I feel. So, anyways, let me know how you feel about this topic in the comments, and, I will talk to you guys later. So, peace, and have a good night.